grand jury.
Please be seated. Has the jury selected a foreperson?
Yes.
Juror number 7, are you the foreperson?
Yes, ma'am.
Has the jury reached a verdict?
We have.
Please fold the verdict in half, hand it to the deputy, who will give it to me. Madam Clerk, please publish the verdict.
In the Circuit Court of the 15th Judicial Circuit Criminal Division and in 4 Palm Beach County, Florida, case number 19 CF 7582, Division U, State of Florida versus Marcia Thompson, verdict, not guilty.
Deputy, stop it! Stop it!
So say we all this 22nd day of July 2024 in West Palm Beach County, Florida, signed by jury foreperson.
Does counsel have an objection to the form of the verdict?
No, Your Honor.
Does counsel for either party wish to have the jury polled?
No, Your Honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the parties, the lawyers, and the people of the state of Florida, I wish to thank you for your time and consideration. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the parties, the lawyers, and the people of the state of Florida, I wish to thank you for your time and consideration in this case. I also wish to advise you of some very special privileges afforded to you as jurors. No juror can be required to talk about the discussions that occurred in the jury room, except by court order. For many centuries, our society has relied upon juries for the consideration of difficult cases. We have recognized for hundreds of years that a jury's deliberations, discussions, and votes should remain their private affair so long as they wish it. Therefore, the law gives you the unique privilege not to speak about the jury's work. The lawyers and their representatives are not permitted to initiate any contact with you concerning this trial. However, you may wish to speak to the lawyers or anyone else about the trial. You also have the right to refuse to speak to anyone. Our requests may come from those who are simply curious or from those who might seek to find fault with you. It will be up to you to decide whether to preserve your privacy as a juror. I have prepared a letter for each of you thanking you for your time and consideration in this case. Also contained within that envelope is a questionnaire that I ask you that you seriously consider completing. It allows the court to identify things you liked about your jury service, things you didn't like about your jury service, and any suggestions you have to make the process better. Also contained within the envelope, also contained within the envelope is an envelope that's pre-addressed to allow you to send that questionnaire back to the court. It is anonymous, so if you wish to be identified, you need to put your name on the questionnaire. I also have a certificate that is signed by our chief judge as well as the Palm Beach County Bar President to memorialize and thank you for your service as a juror. It says, called from your accustomed pursuits and asked to give of your time and to render judgment, you fulfilled your duty as a citizen of the state of Florida by faithfully discharging the solemn responsibility of jury service and thereby made a personal contribution to the ideal of equal justice for all. I'm going to come down and shake each of your hands, thanking you personally for your time, attention, and consideration. Deputy Francis will escort you out the back way one last time, and you are discharged from your service as jurors. Mr. Cohen, thank you so much for your statement. You can. Ms. Rivera, thank you so much for your service. Mr. Gutierrez, thank you so much for your service. That's all. I'm sorry. Mr.
Michael, I guessed it was not guilty because of you, because the whole time I've been saying I think it's going to be guilty, but the more we talk today, the more you got me on board with understanding how it's the reasonable person from her perspective or that was in her shoes. And so I do understand how this jury has reached a verdict of not guilty. First degree murder, not guilty. She walks out a free woman today.
Yeah, I thought the facts supported either side, whichever direction. I thought with the short amount of time of deliberations, it would go closer to a guilty verdict, but I was wrong on that. But I think certainly you could find facts here, and as we talked about, and as you said, I outlined a number of things that I thought would support a not guilty verdict. They clearly bought her claim that it was reasonable in her mind, and a reasonable person would agree that it was okay to feel that she was on some sort of imminent threat and that her life was threatened or great bodily harm was threatened under those circumstances. And I think that goes back to the battered wife syndrome, because based on the facts, they'd have to believe that because of this history of abuse, it was reasonable for her to feel that way under the circumstances as depicted in this case.
So she felt the threat at the time, and that is the reason that she took the action she took. You know, what's interesting to me is
I understand this may be a time to celebrate for you, but please recognize that someone lost their life.
We do.
Please. Is discharged. Your bond has also been discharged, ma'am.
Judge, we need to sign out the evidence, but one of the items is a firearm. I don't know if I have an investigator that can come pick it up now, so if the court orders it to be held by the clerk overnight for an investigator to pick it up.
Yes, that will do that, and one of the deputies will make sure it gets back to the clerk's office so that you can go to the clerk's office and pick it up.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Not one second. We're in recess.
You know, Michael, this is why judges have to say to the gallery, I don't want anyone to react in court, because someone's going to, she was yelling, stop it at them, and then she just said, you got to recognize somebody lost their life, and they said, we do. This is what happens.
Yeah, she didn't tell them before the reading of the verdict, and we usually see that happen.
Yes,
you can't fault the family. This has been an emotional ride for them, but, you know, certainly understanding, and they stopped when she asked them to stop, but the judge was pretty upset, and I thought maybe the mistake was on her part.
Yeah, a little bit. All right, we're going to bring you more of this, of course. We just have to squeeze in a quick break, but stay here with us for more on the verdict coverage. Your front row seat to justice.
Ms. Thompson, having been found not guilty by a jury of your peers, you are free to go. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not, I understand this may be a time to celebrate for you, but please recognize that someone lost their life.
We do.
Please.
Joining us now to discuss is trial attorney Marcia Thompson. Michelle, Michael and I have been talking about this verdict, and I think part of my surprise a little bit is they came out immediately with a few questions. They wanted to see the autopsy report. They wanted to see some witness statements. They wanted to get the laptop, and they had most of it. They got the laptop with some of the things they could watch, but 4 hours, 30 minutes in, and they come back with a not guilty. I started to feel like it was going to be a guilty.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really short turnaround, but what does that say? That says that the defense really did her job. She did an excellent job conveying the trauma that this defendant suffered and how it was possible that even though on the surface this appeared as though it was an open and closed case. He's on the couch, possibly sleeping. No weapon is found. She shoots him 9 times. It seems like she should be guilty, but the defense really dug deep and conveyed the trauma and the history, longstanding history of what she endured, which justified and explained to this jury why in those moments on that day that she shot him, she felt as though she was in imminent harm. And so it was really an excellent presentation of the defense's case, and she was acquitted as a result thereof.
Yeah, no doubt. And I was really impressed by her emotion during her closing argument. She really sort of stepped up, and you could just tell she believed in her case, which I think is invaluable as a defense attorney when you're representing someone. Can't always be that way, but in this particular case, that clearly was the case. But Michelle, let me ask you, we talked a lot during this trial about the possibility of jury nullification and what that means. But I'm not sure that's what happened here, because as I said, I think whichever side you fell on, there was certainly evidence to support that point of view. When we talk about jury nullification, that's really about saying, okay, in the face of all this evidence, I'm still going to go with a different verdict. I don't think that's fair in this case.
No, you could tell that the jury really took their job seriously because of the questions that they asked, asking to see certain evidence, even the laptop where they had to put gloves on in order to touch the evidence. I mean, they really did get into the details based upon the questions they posed to the court. And to your point, I do think that it's certainly the facts the evidence could have supported either verdict. But here, I think that they just connected the dots between the battered wife syndrome that she endured, the kind of person that he was, how he treated her, both the psychological and physical abuse that she said occurred roughly about on a monthly basis. And they understood, why she was in that state of mind at the time that she killed him. So. It was just really interesting.
I just have to say this. We're watching right now, and she's hugging people there. They're all crying. They're all emotional. To me, this does not seem like a woman who easily overcomes the fact she shot and killed someone. I think the trauma, the sorrow, all of those feelings have got to be there, and the judge was upset with them cheering. Well, she's not going to jail for the rest of her life, but this doesn't seem to me like a circumstance, Michelle, in which people are going to be, oh yeah, he's dead, this is great. No, no, no. I think the trauma and the sorrow and all of the horrible things that go along with actually having killed someone are still there.
Yeah, and I think that's an excellent point, Judge Ashley, and it's so rare that we see a sense of remorse coming through from a defendant. But in this case, you could tell that she almost was remorseful, that she wished perhaps that she had another option or felt as though she had another option in those moments, but she did not. She chose to save herself, and the jury obviously did not blame her for that. It is sorrowful on one standpoint. Obviously, her husband did lose his life, and his family, of course, is going to be upset by it. But, in this situation, so much had happened that she apparently kept under wraps and under covers from a lot of the community and the public. And now that it came to light, it would explain a lot and why she felt the need to kill him in those moments.
Yeah, and let's be clear, the work begins now. This woman has a lot of work to do, not only to get over the fact that she killed someone that she was married to for X amount of years, but also she's been the victim of domestic abuse for years. Now she's got to turn that around, or that's going to play out again in her life. So she's got a lot of work ahead of her. Right. Glad she's out, and I hope she does the work, and I wish her the best.
And they had 2 children together.
Yes.
And they're adults now, but even so, there's a lot of work. To unpack.